Hey, what's up, everybody? Onepeg here. So I spent the last 7 hours or so running through all things related to this new patch. Finally was able to get in there and do some stuff. Finally got all the quests done for the cosmetic items. So we got the drinking bottle and the coin flip emote and all that other stuff. Anyway, there was a lot of things that were changed kind of on the sly, and some new things that have been data mined from this latest patch, and some changes to like all of the dungeons, actually. So I want to go through those changes with y'all, show you guys some new things, and explain some bugs, because there's a couple of pretty large bugs that you guys will want to be made aware of. Okay, so first up, rumor mill stuff. So this was something that was modified or added to SteamDB. The Steam database for Dark and Darker was modified, and it was changed for a billing type to free on demand with a single purchase license type, which means that it's possible that they're trying to just keep the database up to date with Steam servers and whatnot, denoting that there is going to be a free-to-play option with Steam. This doesn't necessarily mean that the game is coming to Steam anytime soon. I mean, you would love to see that happen with the Summer Games Fest that is happening in the near future. I'm hopeful that it will end up maybe on Epic as a free-to-play option, but this is just something indicative of them still trying to keep up with the SteamDB entry. Kind of cool. From here, we also have some new recipes, or a new recipe. This one being the Froststone powder that is on Alchemist, which shows us that the Froststone ore is something that we will be able to collect. However, it is not on Frost map right now. The belief is that it will be in Ice Abyss. So you'll be able to collect this, my guess is, in Ice Abyss or Ice Abyss only, because it's not currently located anywhere in Frost Cavern. This is the updated Goblin Cave map. So anywhere that there is a red circle, you'll see that there is a new extract. The rope icon, that is what this is, around the outside edge, is a rope extract, and I will show you guys the animation. Now, the ropes work like one-time use extracts where they will appear very similar to the gate opening for the stairway, the rock slide extracts that we already have on Goblin Cave. They are grabbed onto. They take 17 seconds to leave, but you do have the option to be able to hit F to cancel taking the rope out should you end up attacked and need to defend yourself. In the center of the map, there is an elevator that works very, very similar to that of the rafts on the Frost map. The elevator shows up every 3 minutes or so, pauses for about 7, maybe 10 seconds. You hop on, everyone can leave from it, and it leaves. The last one showing up with about a minute remaining on the map. Now, for those of you that haven't been aware of it or haven't really been paying that much attention, the Goblin Cave no longer has a circle mechanic. It now functions similar to, or exactly the same as, really, the Frost map, with a different mechanic forcing you to need to get out, and that is this rock slide. So the rock slide mechanic has technically 4 phases, really 3. By the time that you hit the second phase, most people end up trying to get out because of the amount of damage that you take. The damage that is done as true damage, the first phase of which begins at 7 minutes and 10 seconds left in the map and hits you for 3 true damage every 10 seconds. Now, this cannot be mitigated by perseverance. It shows up as a debuff on the bar, but the debuff duration, even if you're playing a cleric with protection from evil, while the debuff duration is shortened, the tick still ends up happening. So all it does is make the damage tick happen a little bit faster. At 3 minutes, phase 2 begins, where you start taking 6 true damage every 5 seconds. Again, this damage cannot be reduced. Phase 3 begins with 10 seconds remaining on the map, and every second you take 20% of your current health value every second, which means that you technically can't die. So if you're at 1 HP, it's just going to do 20% of 1 health. However, if you're still on the map at the end of that 10-second period, the match ends and you instantly die. Kind of like how the Frost map turns you into a meat popsicle. We also have data mined some new icons for what I think is crypts. So here's kind of what's happening on like the meta scale. Right now, it looks as though the devs are phasing out the BR circle. The idea of the BR circle, I think, is leaving Dark and Darker completely. We already have it on Frost, and we have it on Goblin Cave already. I think they're going to do it for crypts on the wipe too. And the reason why is because of these icons. So this icon is like a beetle, a locust, and they call it says death beetle here. Remember, like the idea is there's a swarm, right, on crypts. So we have this death beetle head, and then that progresses to one where the shell is half covered, and then we have the entire shell, so the full debuff. For me, this is still super reminiscent of the debuffs that we see already when it comes to Frost with the snowflake icon, and then we have the mountain, the Angry Mountain one for Goblin Cave. That icon to me looks like the debuff for Crypts. And if I'm betting on it, I think that they're going to remove the BR circle from the game completely and make this much more of a dungeon crawling experience, which I'm completely fine with. I think that that actually adds a completely different level of dynamism to this game and makes it so that people have a lot more opportunity to play around the map and each other instead of being forced into these conflicts. I'm completely fine with this. So there will probably be some other different type of mechanic with the circle or the swarm, where the swarm is going to become like progressively worse and worse, probably doing something along the lines of further obscuring your vision as the bugs on Crypts get worse and worse. I'm totally fine with it. I think it'll be cool. Speaking of Frost map, it appears that there are a lot more nightmare level mobs on Frost. Now, my evidence is obviously anecdotal, but it seemed as though there were a whole lot more nightmare quality mobs on High Roller. A lot more. Somewhere around like 3 to 5 mobs every module, depending on mob density, obviously, but around 3 to 5 mobs of those red skeletons that you would typically see spawning around, or the kobolds or whatever. A lot of them ended up being of nightmare quality. Speaking of nightmare quality, the Nightmare Kobold, now the Archer one, now has a triple shot. They have a multi-shot mechanic that they engage in when they fight you, and the Shield one, the Shield Kobold, if they are nightmare quality, they end up having this charging shield bash, which is kind of cool. There are also modified Alchemist crafts that we can see on Alchemist now for potions that end up using Life Leaf and Ward Weed and some other things, but most of the crafts that are like quote-unquote data mined, or the recipes that were shown on test, are not actually being shown in the game. It is still believed, though, that the Clarity Potion and whatnot may end up returning if it has to be crafted. However, what I will say is, in a place like Goblin, it seemed like Ward Weed, for instance, was kind of everywhere. Today, while I was playing, I ended up collecting about 15 Ward Weed, just kind of messing around, not even trying to find it. It kind of ended up being all over the map. So it's possible that they've also added a lot more spawns for herbs coming up in the next patch when the game wipes, but just be aware that it looks as though that's going to become a much more integral part of the game. Okay, now for a few more data leaks. So these are loading images. The next 3 images are loading images for Frost Cavern and Ice Abyss, I believe. So we have this one, and then we have another one that shows the Druid and the Frost Wyvern, and then we have this one where there's a harpy kind of kicking somebody over a cliff edge. Now this is interesting because we haven't seen or known of, as of yet, a harpy being a mob that is something that we're going to be able to fight. So it looks like in Ice Abyss, we're going to see harpies and yetis, which is very, very interesting. We also have new mob-specific items that are now in the game files. This one being a dog collar, probably for the demon dogs. We also have this one that is like a ring, so maybe it's like a toe ring or something for the gargoyle or one of the other mob types. There's also this one, which is a demon dog thorn, and this one a bat claw. And then finally, we have a torn bat wing. So for the big man bat, the big gargoyle-looking guys, we have specific drops for those as well. And then we also have new icons for some emotes. This horn-blowing one, which I actually have sound files for as well. So there are 2 separate sounds for the horn emote. At least that's what we believe it to be. The first one being this one, and the second one being this one. There is also several variations of an inhale sound that sounds kind of like this. So those are the sounds that we have for what I think is that emote. Next, we have the emote for a dirt kick and an emote for a power flex. From here, we have several of the frost icons, what I believe are all the frost icons for all of the different potion variations. So we have a clarity potion, we have the health pot, an invisibility potion, a small luck, and a large luck pot. We have a magic protection potion, and a normal physical protection potion. Last but not least, a troll's blood pot. So it looks like we're going to get a frost skin for everything. Then we have the expanded stash. So everyone now has, anyone that paid for the game that isn't doing the free-to-play thing, has this little star icon here where it ends up giving us about a 1/3 of a stash tab worth of shared space. For those of you wondering, yes, when you put an item in here that is looted, it stays looted quality and can be transferred to another character of yours and will still remain looted quality. So this is the shared stash. So we got goblin ears that are looted, right? So we can put them in there. It should still be considered looted when I switch characters. Looted. Look at that. So then we can go to Goblin Merchant. Boop. There's 12. Shit works. So you have the ability to, for instance, move goblin ears from one character to another and hand those in for a quest, should you so choose. We also have this addition, which is like a portal stone. Now, the portal stone is actually important because it denotes where portals are going to appear now. On Goblin Cave, there are these portal stones that will be on the floor in random locations now. And it shows that it's got, you know, some little blue cracks in it. When you wait long enough, eventually a portal will appear in its place. So now as you're adventuring along, you can make a mental note of where you see a portal stone spawning so that you can get an idea of where you would need to be when the portal ends up actually appearing. Now for some item change stuff. We have the addition of the lantern shield, and all shields now have the ability to roll an additional point of weapon damage on them. There was also this data mined image of a linkable ability for blacksmith to another platform. Remember, we had this potentiality where the devs have talked to us about being able to get a link code to move your account from blacksmith off of the blacksmith's launcher onto another platform like Epic. Now, whether or not they can actually make this happen for like Steam or Epic or whatever is beyond us. We don't really know. Hopefully they can, and this is the way that they're going to be able to do it. It's not in the game, but it is potentially there for the future. Also on Goblin Cave, if you are able to drop both of the bosses that are on Goblin, the shared treasure room between the two bosses now has a gold ore spawn in it. 2 of them, actually. Okay, so that is like the cosmetic side of the changes and the map stuff. Now we have nerfs, and what I believe to be a little bit heavy-handed. Rogues right now are going to be kind of pissed off. So here's what they did on the sly. Rogue hide was 20 seconds, and because base kit rogue has a negative 25% debuff duration, that gave rogue hide a base stealth of 15 seconds in duration. If they got hide mastery, it doubled it to 30 seconds. Again, with base kit, no additional will. That was severely nerfed. Rogue hide is now 6 seconds in base, which makes it about 4.5 seconds in duration for your base kit rogue, and then mastery doubles that to a 12-second base, otherwise a 9-second-ish duration for a base kit rogue. That kinda hurts. That means pretty much no more landmine tactics, no more stealthing to try and stay away from people, no more pickpocket gameplay. It's kind of rough. They also nerfed throwing weapons, so now throwing knives and Francescas only stack to 1 instead of 2. Now this obviously is going to be a severe nerf to the idea of being able to spam throwing knives and throwing weapons in general to be able to either gain or close the gap on someone. I think that honestly that this was kind of a necessary change. I actually kind of like this from a balance perspective. However, I would argue that this plus the hide nerf is kind of unnecessary. Along with this is a little bit of a bug because the Squire still tries to give you 2 throwing knives or 2 Francesca axes in a stack, and when you try to load into a raid, they kind of disappear because I think the game is saying it's not supposed to be like that. Maybe if you pull the stack apart, it works. I don't know. It's not something that we tested. I just know that it disappears if you keep it the way it is. Also nerfed was Cutthroat. Rogue Cutthroat was nerfed from a 4-second duration to a 3-second duration. Also not mentioned in the patch notes. And then the mother of all bugs is the thrown lantern or thrown Molotov cocktail, the bottle. If you throw that, right now the damage scaling is set to like some insane level, and because the damage ticks every 1/10 of a second, with the damage scaling being what it is, you end up getting memes like this.
Benny. I don't think it works.
Whoa! What?
Yo!
So obviously something that needs to be fixed, but for now, watch out for people throwing Molotovs and lanterns at you because the burn damage is kind of insane. Oh, and last but certainly not least, in the world of bugs, there is also an audio bug with rogues. Whenever they go and hit hide, you can hear them from uber far away, and it sounds like it's happening like in your own head, as if you were the rogue. Now, overall on gear, the stuff that was on the PTR that we talked about in the last video is pretty much the same. I don't think there were any other major modifications. The general consensus is the amount of damage that people are capable of outputting because of additional damage and additional true damage has been significantly reduced. You can only get +1 on certain pieces of gear now. Things like the true damage necklaces for physical and true magical damage are probably going to be an absurdly high premium when the game wipes. Things like the Phoenix Choker, for instance, because it goes up to 3 and 4 additional true damage is probably going to be the thing that everyone wants in that slot for people that are trying to do damage. Anyway, and then the stat modifications, the stat rolls to gear got capped off at +2. So, and there's no plus all at all anymore. Also, weapons had a couple of points of damage shaved off of them, and unique quality gear went to legendary quality at maximum and just gets the unique affix for those artifact weapons. Also, random rolled artifacts are no longer going to be a thing, which is something that I covered in the last video as well. So I think that pretty much covers everything with what has changed this patch. Between the PTR video and this video, I think I've kind of covered all of it. If there is something I missed, though, obviously, I'll be sure to update it in a pinned comment or whatever, and, just kind of keep checking back and see if there's anything being updated to the list. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for this video. Thank you so much for coming and checking it out. If you'd be so kind as to sub the channel here, I would love you guys forever. It really, really does matter. Otherwise, you can come and check me out over at twitch.tv/Onepeg, where I'm live every day around 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, most days now, I think. Otherwise, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for lending me your eyeballs. We'll see you soon, okay? Peace.